Hi, this is Dr. Lonnie Smith, and you're about to hear some incredible music by a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Robbie Robinson. great conductor, arranger, and musician. Stick around.
Well, hello, everybody out there in Jam and Java land, and welcome to Jam and Java. Our July the 19th version. Here, I guess there. I guess my sound is going out there okay, huh? Okay. Well, tonight's going to be a great night. Alan Hewitt is going to be my guest tonight. Alan Hewitt, what a guy he is. Had a great chat with him earlier today, and super talented keyboard player, composer, songwriter, producer, arranger, and what a diverse career he's had. I mean, he's worked with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White. He's worked with, well, how about diversity right here? Earth, Wind, and Fire to Warrant, Cherry Pie. Yeah, he co-wrote that song and worked with them on the record. And he plays with the Moody Blues for the last number of years. I think it's 10 years. He's got 10 solo albums out. But we'll get into that. He's going to be with us just in a little bit. Let's see who's checking in with us today. Larry Vasaki. Hello, Larry Vasaki. I have a feeling I might see you on our first Frankie Valli tour, which starts next Friday. Today is Monday. Friday, we're doing the first Frankie Valli concert in a year and a half. And our first show is going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Then we go to Huber Heights, Ohio. And that's where I probably will see you, huh, Larry? My brother Herb Robinson, Texas, checking in. Hello, Texas. Who else is on? Denise. Hello, fabulous Denise from Cleveland, Ohio. Litchfield, my hometown of Litchfield, Illinois, is in the house. Next Monday, I'm going to be in Litchfield, and we'll be doing the show from there. We're not going to do the big deal with at the museum and all that stuff like we did last time. It's going to be a different animal, but I'm going to be in Litchfield, Illinois next for a few days Monday after our little concert run. Yeah, Cleveland. Does anybody else lose a signal? I hope not. Oh, you get to stay up past your bedtime. Okay. Well, we always start with a word of prayer, so let's get right into that. We've got our Larry's chiming in. Sorry I get let off stray here. Loucious Music Channel, all right, online here in Youngstown, Connecticut. Hello, Pete. Yeah, I talked to Pete earlier this week. He's told me he was driving out to Connecticut. Very cool. So we're going to start with a word of prayer. We've got our resident chaplain back in the fold. He had a pinch hitter last week. Daryl Strawberry pinch hit for him. But he is back in the fold, and it's good to have him back. Pastor Chuck Pearson, lead us in prayer, my brother.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Good to be back with you. Last Monday, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, of all places. You're asking yourself, why would anybody go to Scottsdale, Arizona this time of year? Well, there were a couple of reasons. We had a family reunion, and that family reunion was built around the internment ceremony for my mom, who was called home by the Lord last February. And this was a chance when the whole family had to get together, go down to Fort Huachuca, where my dad's ashes are, and place her beside him and in hopes of the resurrection. So one of the things that I was thinking about, and one of the things I've often thought about in terms of death and grieving, is this passage that was written by the Apostle Paul in his first letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 4, starting at verse 13. I do not want you to be ignorant, brothers, about those who fall asleep, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. Paul doesn't say we shouldn't grieve. He says we shouldn't grieve like people who have no hope. Well, why is that? He continues, we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. My mom, my dad, many of your loved ones are asleep in Jesus. They are with him. And we believe that in Jesus we have hope, that we have certainty. For us, death is not the end. There are problems, but we still have hope. There are struggles and there are situations, there is illness, there are circumstances which arise, and yet in all those things we still have hope. We have sorrow, we grieve, but we have sorrow and we grieve in hope. Why? Because Jesus promised that he would come for us and that he would bring with him, and he promised this through St. Paul, that he would bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. And we know that Jesus, his promises are always kept. We've seen it over and over and over again on our lives. So comfort, Paul says, comfort one another with these words. And so I am very comforted knowing that this ain't the end. I'll see them again, but I'll see them in perfection. Let's pray. Father, so many things are going on in this world of ours. There's wars and rumors of wars, strife and uncertainty. There's hatred and intolerance. There's economic and political uncertainty. The pandemic seems to be returning. There seem to be new strains that are developing. Each of us faces our own uncertainties and struggles. And yet we have your word, which promises your presence and your peace no matter what we face. Lord, give us hope. Help us to see your loving guidance no matter what problems we face. Be with the doctors, nurses, and researchers who are fighting disease and illness of all kinds. Give them new insights. Help them to be your instruments of healing. Strengthen our faith and help us to follow you daily. Lord, bless Robbie and his guests tonight. May we all praise and glorify you in everything we do for you and through you. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, Robbie, let's have a great show tonight. God bless everyone.
Hey. Happy day. Hey. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. Oh, when he washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. He washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. It was a happy day. Oh, 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 happy day. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. Oh, when he washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. He washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. day.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Oh, was a happy day.
Oh, happy day. Was a very happy day. Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
When I get to heaven,
Oh, happy day.
I'm gonna jump and shout.
Oh, happy day.
There'll be nobody there
Oh, happy day.
who can turn me out. Yeah.
Oh,
Gonna be a happy day. Gonna be a happy day. Gonna be a happy day. Thank God a happy day. Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day indeed. Amen, amen, amen. All right, everybody. So get ready because our guest tonight, Mr. Alan Hewitt, man, what a multi-talented guy this is. And, of course, playing with the Moody Blues. What a great historic group. And then you go from the Moody Blues to Warrant. That's so diverse. And then you put Earth, Wind, and Fire into that picture and so many other things. So we're going to get a chance to talk about a lot of that. But for the last few years, he's also had, as he does, he's continuing to tour with the Moody Blues and various other acts as well. But he's also got this project, this super group, Alan Hewitt and One Nation. And they've had some great releases. Of course, as I said, he's the keyboardist for the legendary rock band, the Moody Blues. And they released a Grammy nominee and global award-winning debut album, Evolution, in 2015. The band's second album, entitled 2021, is expected to land this summer, and they're following up the first single, Grammy nominee One Step Closer, with We're One Nation. The song and music video makes it timely, inspiring, dynamic statement. United we stand and divided we fall. This young man has a list of accolades from the industry that includes the Golden Planet, New York International Film Fest Award, San Francisco Ocean Film Fest, both for Best Music Score, 2 Global Music Awards, an ESPY Award, 2 Triple Platinum albums. Now check that out, 2 Triple Platinum albums. That's a lot of records. Warrant's Cherry Pie and Earth, Wind, and Fire's Best of Volume 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your virtual hands together for a nice welcome to our guest tonight, Mr. Alan Hewitt. Hey, Alan.
Hey, Robbie.
Hey,
good
man.
To be here, buddy.
It's
That's
so
nice.
good
I
to
like
see you.
Happy day, man.
Oh, happy day.
Yeah.
You know,
Robbie's kicking some chops on there.
we were talking about Dr. Lonnie Smith. You and I were chatting, who is, of course, one of our heroes. Anybody who plays Hammond organ, Dr. Lonnie is a hero.
Yes.
He sang that, man, when we did this thing in Chicago a few years ago at the Arcada Theater, if you know that venue.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we did a Hammond Summit up there, and he got out, and he was playing Oh Happy Day, and he started singing. It was just amazing.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? I remember hearing about that because I think I had come in there with John Lodge just after you guys did that. And it was a big, big hit.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
That was an
Our
amazing
friend
night.
Scott told me about it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you're a Ham fan brother.
Yes.
So that's part of the thing. And this music community is so small. It just, let me see something here. I'm going to make some. Oh, there's Alan. Okay, I want to put your name up there.
All right.
So tell us about Alan Hewitt. I know you're from Upper Michigan. Tell us about how you get started in this crazy business. Obviously, you have to do it, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started out as a drummer, and around 13 or 14, I got in this really crazy band with a couple of guys that I saw that they were really good, and I was improving as a drummer. and I really liked Emerson, Lake and Palmer and that kind of music. So
oh yeah, prog
I had
rock.
this-
I guess you would. Call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I don't think we called it that back in those days. Was
I'm
it?
not sure what it was.
'Cause it seemed like
Classic,
that
did
came-
it
but whatever.
cross- I don't even know if we named it. But so I had this huge drum set, multiple timpanis, multiple vibes,
Wow.
marimba, multiple gongs, and octopus. So which was
Wow.
8 times on top.
Oh yeah.
It was quite the thing. And so the three of us had hair down to the middle of our back, and we wore these caftans. And we did our stuff. We did was kind of we'd take Tchaikovsky stuff and turn it into these rock tunes, kind of like Emerson, Lake and Palmer was doing.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
just like Emerson, Lake and Palmer was doing.
Yeah.
So that was really the start of where I thought I could go. And so after kind of wore out on that, and I went to Berkeley, and that was, of course, because I'd seen Return to Forever.
Yeah, and that changes everybody.
Blew my mind.
Mhm.
And Lenny White. Of course, I was still a drummer, but I loved Chick Corea at the time, and just all those guys.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
amazing. So that's why I went to Berkeley and ended up to make a little money on the side. I played with T-Bone Walker, a buddy that was the organist, B3 guy there from Michigan. Said, "Hey, you want to come and play with us?" Because Mose Allison's drummer was the main drummer, and I would sub for him. And that was interesting because a totally different kind of music.
Oh man,
totally different
amazing.
drumming. And then T-Bone would go, "Just play the pocket, boy.
Yeah.
Play the pocket." So I learned quite a bit.
You know what? Let me interject something. One of my best friends was a guy named Mickey Jones, who was a drummer. Do you know that name at all?
I do, but
Mickey Jones played on, oh gosh, I think he had 17 gold records he played drums on.
Wow.
But he got his start in Texas, and he would tell me the story. He passed away last year, I think it was, 2 years ago. But and played on so many records. But he was playing with this blues guy down in Texas, one of the really historic guys. And he said every time, if he would play, he was boom, boom, ching, boom, boom, ching, boom, boom, boom. And if he did that, the guy would turn around and say, "Just play the pocket."
Yeah, that's
It's like he
classic.
didn't want to hear a fill, man. Just
That's
boom,
good.
ching.
It wasn't just me then.
Yeah, no. So that's part of it. But then, the Lenny White and all that, Billy Cobham
Billy Cobham, I forgot. I always forget to, and I leave him out. He was also a big influence, huge.
Yeah.
Well, Mahavishnu Orchestra, love them too. They were always a big influence. Yeah, so that's what happened. But while I was at Berkeley, it kind of started changing over to keyboards via the vibes. I studied a little bit with Gary Burton, and
Oh, great. What a musical mind he is, too, huh?
oh yeah. Some of the stuff was way over my head, but you pick it up. And
Sure.
my drumming partner was Kenwood Denard.
Oh,
the
yeah.
drummer from-
Wow.
And so I'm practicing with him, and he's doing all this 4-way independent stuff, and I'm just not going to be able to. There's just not enough time for me to catch up to this guy. And so the composing thing took over. I really kind of segued into that, and that's where I started doing the keyboard stuff. And that's kind of the start of the battle.
Well, you know what? I'm from the Midwest, too, and we talked about that.
Yes.
People who watch this show know that I'm from Litchfield, Illinois, because I love my hometown of Litchfield, Illinois.
Yeah.
And but I remember getting started. We would rent this place, this old schoolhouse out in the country, and we had our band, all our gear set up there, and we would go out there and practice. We didn't rehearse. We practiced,
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. And that's how we really developed. I mean, we were going to college and all that stuff eventually, but I think that was common. The band Ario was a local band in those days in Illinois, and Michael McDonald was one of the local musicians. And
Wow.
it was a real band-centric kind of in the Midwest, because that's all you had to do,
Well, that's how I was said that too, because it's funny because you had a house out in the country. We had our band house was a farmhouse as well, and and I mean, immediately after I get done with school, um, after I could drive, I would drive out there and spend the rest of the night, not overnight, but, you know, late and just rehearse and rehearse. And that was one of the best things about that is that, you're learning with, it was only two other guys and they happened to be really good. Um, and I think we talked about it before, your friend from Scottsville, um, from Kenny Rogers.
Oh, Edgar Struble.
Yeah, Edgar. So we
Yeah.
would do shows with them in different parts of Michigan because he was in the band called Chopper and they were great. Four saxes and playing some really cool stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think that might have even been pre-Tower of Power. I know it had, maybe not. When did Tower of Power start?
Tower of Power is actually I'm one of my songwriting partners and best friends is Doc Kupka.
Right. Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
And Doc Kupka, their official starting date is August 13th, 1968. That's when Doc joined the band, and that's what they found as that. Yeah, so Tower of Power was,
So maybe Edgar heard them or something, or got influenced by them because they had a similar type thing.
And of course, our buddy Scott May, who's in the Ides of March. I mean,
yes,
that band, that was a horn band. It had that horn stuff too,
yeah.
vehicle and all this stuff.
Yes, for sure.
Now, Chicago was a hub of that early, not the group, but the city, and of course, because of the band Chicago, they had the Mods too, which was another horn band, and the Ides of March, and I think Bill Chase, I think, was from out there, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears was, that was when all that was starting to brew.
Yeah, they were all there, and matter of fact, I played 3 years in Chicago too, and
oh really?
So
Where in Chicago?
Well, I had a group there called Alan Hewitt in '88, and it was it was kind of a cross between if you could imagine this, Toto and Duran Duran. So, and we got signed and released about as fast as that.
Yeah, rock and roll, baby.
But it was a nice, adventurous time to only concentrate on writing and stuff like that. And we played all the places, and that's where I know Jim Peterick from and Scott from, and
right,
because they would come to we'd play Chicago Fest, and they would be there playing, and we'd be one of the opening groups, and so it was Chicago at the time was a great music city. And then of course you're talking before when Chicago started out, and matter of fact, it's funny because my manager is with Jim Gershio tonight.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
of course there's
he's one of the legendary producers of in this business who started Chicago and all those and others.
Yes. I think
well,
Joe
tell
Walsh
us
too,
about
right?
Tell us about Alan Hewitt and One Nation. Tell us about getting that group together, because man, you guys sound killer.
Oh, good. Well, we're having a great time with it. I don't, you remember when you were in a band and the money part of it didn't really, wasn't a big deal.
I'll tell you the truth. It's always been that way for me. But I've been blessed because I've had the same gig for over 40 years. That doesn't happen, of course,
You've had a great gig. And then that's amazing longevity. I don't think I've ever met anyone other than the Moody guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been around.
Of course, I'm lucky enough to play with different people that have longevity, but that's a long time. 44 years is a long time.
Yeah. But you know what? We don't get in this business for the money. Oh, well, let's see. What can I do to make a lot of money and have a lot of security? I know I'll be a musician.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So that's that's the feel of this group. They're all doing it because they want to play this music, and they can go do anything they want to. But luckily, my friend who I grew up with, Duffy King, was on the first record with Jamie Glazer and Sonny Emery and J.V. Collier, and then this record, Duffy's on it again and playing a really predominant part and the guitar and everything, and then we have Billy Ashbaugh, who's in the Moody Blues with me. He's the other drummer, and he's been with them for about 3 years. And then we have David C. Johnson on bass he's with the Neville Brothers. Neville.
Oh man, love the Neville Brothers.
Just a great group of guys to play with, and we're getting ready to go out on tour. So we get along really well. We take our sound, our audio guy with us, and
great.
Get
Well, that makes a difference too, doesn't it?
Yes, that's pretty important. He's almost like really the fifth guy.
Well, we have a couple videos here, so let's play one of them. I've got here. This is Alan
They're
Hewitt,
long.
One Nation. That's okay. My this audience loves music, man, and you guys
All right.
kick it. So let's hear you guys one step closer. Bravo! I love it, man. That is great. Oh, I
thank
love
you.
it.
That's
As a matter
great.
of fact, here.
That's great. You guys got the patience.
Yeah, in this in 2021, in our YouTube mentality and our time attention has gone down.
I know, and of course, I write an album that the shortest song is 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you
that's
said
me.
Tchaikovsky, so there you have it.
Staying right in time with everything.
I hear influence, of course. I hear a lot of the influences you articulated earlier. Of course, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Return to Forever, Chick Corea.
Yeah, that's
Great
good. Yeah,
stuff, man.
that was, to me, was just like that era was just so. I wish people could hear it now. Like when Robbie and me were listening to the radio, we probably we could hear Weather Report, we could hear Chuck Mangione, we could hear Return to Forever. You would turn it on, hear this great music on regular stations. They would play it actually as singles. And I mean, now you have to go as Sirius Radio, I guess, to catch it.
It's a different world, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
One of my dear friends who's been gone for a number of years and who was a mentor to me, his name was Teddy.
I do that.
Yeah, I know. But Teddy had a big band, hits in the 40s, and his own big band out of WLS Chicago. They used to and he used to take me to dinner. We would go out there, and he was just one of those mentors. I know we all have all those people who've rubbed our shoulders, and he was always about how the evolution of music changes and how musicians make a living. I got started off, how do you make a living making music? And if you go back to the beginning, Bach had to figure that out. And then Mozart had to figure that out, and Beethoven had to figure that out, and then Duke Ellington and Count Basie, and the society that we live in, the context that music functions in, is always changing. And if we can't change, then we're gonna die on the vine.
Yeah, reinvention is a real important part of any musician. And I see a lot of friends that don't reinvent themselves, and they ended up not playing anymore. And they could be great players, but as a side guy, which I am, with the Moody's, is basically, there's certain rules, unspoken rules that you attain to, or you don't last very long. and one of them is having a good attitude. And
you definitely have a good attitude. I can see that already.
And so do you. And that's why you've been around for 44 years. You're expected to play. You're expected to know how to do that.
You got to start with that. You're right. Because like in L.A., you lived in L.A. for a long time, and you know what it's like in L.A. If you got to play to start, but that's not going to guarantee a gig. And the line, I can tell you, whenever we have auditions for Frankie Valli Band, the line is around the block for people who want to do it. There's so few musicians and so few gigs and so many musicians.
Yeah. Did you have to run those?
Oh yeah, I've been running auditions for decades.
I did too.
You know that drill then.
When Billy got the drummer job, Billy Ashboy in our band got the drum gig, I must have gone to 30 drummers, and everybody, God bless them, they had good intentions and stuff, but I knew he was the right guy from the very beginning. But it took me, I had to go through all the 30 to make everybody else understand that I know this guy is the guy. And finally, he ended up being the guy.
So, you mentioned the Moody Blues. So let's talk Moody Blues. First of all, I love the Moody Blues. I mean, and I can't think of too many people who don't love the Moody Blues. So what is it like to play some of those iconic songs with some of those iconic rock stars?
It's really neat. The guys were so welcoming, and at the beginning anyway, and I really didn't get a rehearsal. I got a half of a sound check. So
Wow.
so it was interesting, and Gordy Marshall, who was the second drummer at the time, Graham's the original drummer, and then they have
Right.
always have a side drum. So Gordy was the guy. He goes, "Don't f up."
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
before he went up. And actually, the first night I did not make one mistake. It's about a 2-hour show, but the next night, you're really focused that first night, and then the next night I made a couple, but nothing significant. But it was just a real fun. It's fun playing with those guys, and the music I never got tired of. It just as much as I think we went around the world a couple times, and I don't know how many times we've gone through America. Just about like you have. I'm sure you've been around many more times than I have.
Well, I don't know about
And,
that, but I've
and it
done my
was-
share of gigs.
Yeah, and you've played all of Frankie's hits and stuff like that for a lot of times, and it was just still fun. And each time I try to mix, I was able to do things, slip in a few things that would make
Right.
it exciting every once in a while and not interrupt what they've been used to, probably because they didn't have me in their ears that much.
You don't want them to turn around and say, "Hey, boy,"
No, usually the drummer gets that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's more exposed, no doubt.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's real enjoyable, and I've gone out on solo tours with Justin as well.
Cool.
And I'm John Lodge's music director now. So it's really the contrast. Justin likes to go out and do really quiet, acoustic shows.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He just kind of works just
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah,
guys,
it's a real-
right?
It's a nice show.
Unplugged.
And then John, is more rock and roll. I think that's why the combination worked pretty well. So just a lot of fun.
Very
I'm
cool.
blessed that I've been able to do it.
Is there a big diversity in terms of beyond the unplugged version and the rock and roll thing between John Lodge and Graham?
In between Justin?
Justin, I mean, yeah, sorry.
Yes. Oh yeah, night and day. Total opposite ends of the spectrum. They write different. They Justin has some beautiful songs, obviously. Nights, White Satin Tuesday. And there's so many more that probably only the fans would know those
Right.
particular songs, but they're just really nice songs. And of course, John's known for "I'm just a singer in a rock and roll
Yeah.
band," ride my seesaw. those kind of
Ride my seesaw. I remember that.
So
Of course.
so the contrast is, I would kind of put it like in the Lennon McCartney kind of contrast.
Yeah, okay.
Not the same type of writers or anything, but that kind of thing.
I'm a music history buff. Tell me and our listeners if you know much of the story of that first record and Nights in White Satin and all that stuff, because that was a landmark record.
I've heard them tell it several times. So what happened is they got signed to Decca Records, and they had a mentor there, and I'm not sure of his name, but he was very patient with them. And they wanted to do, actually they did the first stereophonic record. So
Is that right?
yeah.
Do you know what year this would have been? Maybe 66, 67?
5.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
And don't quote me on that because I
Yeah,
might
of
be wrong,
course,
but I
yeah.
think it was 65.
Wow.
So they had originally wanted to do it with an orchestra, not the Moody Blues, but Decca. And their mentor guy at Decca said, I want to have this band, the Moody Blues, play with them. So what they did is they kind of wrote those songs separately, and then the Peter Knight was the conductor and the director of the orchestra. He made things fit into like the
Sure.
beginnings and stuff. So that's what they did. They went in and recorded all those things, and I'm not sure that the record company knew what they had.
Of course.
It took them a while to figure this out, yeah, because I think Nights in White Satin did not chart until they, I might be off on some of this stuff, but I think they had to go to a U.S. tour.
Wow.
Or U.S. started playing it. Remember, they weren't playing those long songs like that. That was a 6-minute song. So that's what made it, start to roar.
But then that started to happen. Then after that, then some of these FM stations would play these 7-8 minute records and stuff like that, and that's what.
Yeah.
And people would listen to whole album cuts and all this. I mean, it was that generation of musicians and listeners were so different. Can you imagine anybody sitting down and listening to a 20-minute record right now?
No.
It's not in our mindset, And
it's weird that we even keep making them, but it's in my concept of things, that's the way it comes in. It comes in as a complete thought, not just one little aspect of it. I like to see a big picture, and even though probably most people won't listen to all of it, it still has to be there.
As Mozart would say, so which note are you going to take out, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what do I take out?
Yeah.
And I'll get people in the business to go, I don't know what to do with this.
Sure.
I go, well, you're not listening right. You're not listening. I go, there's people that like it. Trust me. And you know what? You're not going to sell a huge amount of records maybe at first, but down the line, people will pick up on it and they'll like it.
But that goes back historically.
You don't understand.
From the Beatles and to Four Seasons. I mean, Frankie and those guys, they pounded the pavement. I can tell you a story about Can't Take My Eyes Off You, which has become one of the talk about a hit record. If we just write that one song that keeps it's a hit. No, it was a hit last year for two different artists. That same song, Pitbull had a top 10 Latin record with it as a duet with Frankie, believe it or not. And then a guy named Surf Mesa, who was a 20-year-old rapper guy, and he had a hit with it, a top 10 record. So I mean, but my point is, I guess, not to digress, Can't Take My Eyes Off You. They didn't. Nobody heard that. Nobody could. What are we going to do with it? It sounded too middle of the road, And it was not Frankie Valli singing falsetto with those pounding, pulsating grooves. Yeah, and it was such a different animal, and so they took it to all the record companies, and nobody heard it. And finally, they got it sold, and it went on to become just one of his landmark records.
Who was the person that finally figured it out?
Well, I can't remember which record label it was. I have to do the research. I know there's some. Yeah. There's some. There's. I don't have it clear in my mind, but there was a record. There was a DJ who supposedly locked the door and played it over and over, and that's in Jersey Boys. But I think that was more Sherry than Can't Take My Eyes Off You, so that it gets a little. Sherry. Well, that's another one too, But those guys. Yeah. They made great records, and they did. And Bob Gaudio. Have you worked with Bob Gaudio? Or do you know Bob at all?
But I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he and Frankie
you worked with him, right?
Oh yeah, many times. He and Frankie Valli are still partners to this day on everything they do. They formed a partnership with a handshake.
Yeah. That's great.
To share and Bob is a songwriter, Bob is a producer, Bob is a keyboard player. He was the original keyboard player for the Four Seasons. I did see a special on that.
I saw a special on that. Yes, I did. Yeah.
And so he's still my boss in many respects because Frankie Valli, it's Four Seasons partnership, and they still operate this whole empire now that includes Jersey Boys and Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons touring and whatever else goes on, but it's Frankie and Bob.
That's wild. I knew one guy that was in Jersey Boys. He was actually a good bass player from Chicago.
What's his name?
I don't know what part was. Dave was his first name. But he played with Nick Coleone in Chicago, who's a smooth jazz guy. And I know he was in Buffalo because my wife went.
Jersey Boys has been... Frankie is. Well, I don't want to get off on Frankie. I want to talk about Alan Hewitt. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, that's all right. We're sharing. We're sharing.
Well, you know what? I'm fascinated not only by, first of all, of course, Moody Blues And another good friend of mine is Patrick Moraz, who was a predecessor of yours with the Moody's.
Exactly.
And, and he's also Florida. Now, you live in Florida now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as do a lot of musicians, it seems these days.
Yeah, there's a lot. A lot of the guys like AC/DC and they're down in the Naples area.
Uh-huh.
And then the keyboard player Tony Kaye from Yes,
Yeah, sure.
original. He lives over in the other west side too, and I go see him every once in a while. He's
wow.
a great guy. He's quite a character. And
you know who lives on the east side, not in Lauderdale? Well, Dr. Lonnie Smith lives in Fort Lauderdale.
He does? Oh, wow. I love Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale's fun.
And so does our buddy Mark Stein. Do you know Mark Stein?
I do, Mark. Mark came up and worked with me just before, before COVID.
Uh-huh.
And he had a song that he was working on. Yeah, that's we're both with the same agent, Jim Lenz.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
Mark is first of all, Vanilla Fudge was a big group for me. They're a big inspiration for me, and Mark in particular, of course.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
he's
still
great.
sounds great and plays great, and he's been on this show a couple times, actually.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, he actually lives only about an hour from me.
Yeah, he's in in Lauderdale. We always play down there at the Hard Rock, and he comes out and hangs out and stuff.
Yeah,
And you must have
that's
played
a
that
nice-
venue, right?
Nice place. I like playing the Hard Rock.
We've probably played at so many of the same venues,
Oh yeah, have you played the Hard Rock since they built that big guitar?
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
you have?
Yeah.
I
We
haven't.
just did it. I think we did it it might have been early 2020, before the pandemic.
Did they make it bigger? The room?
The room is totally different now. Yeah,
Wow, neat.
that's a great venue. Yeah, we do that every year. So we're scheduled to go back. I can't remember when it is, but we start
you
touring
stay-
Friday.
Did you stay? I know it. Did you stay in the rooms?
No,
there?
Frankie stayed in the guitar room,
Oh.
but we stayed in the old part there.
So where's your first date?
Our first show is this Friday in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I don't know the venue.
Right.
Green Bay,
Good.
and then the next night is in Huber Heights, which is Dayton area, Ohio, and then the third night is in Milwaukee.
We're in Milwaukee.
I don't know the venue.
Casino or Riverside?
I think it's a theater thing. I don't think because we've played
Probably
there.
Riverside Theater, I'll bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't look at the itineraries ahead of time. I just know the cities from the calendar, and then I get on the plane. Oh, where are we going here? And then you know the drill. They pick you up.
It's funny because it always ended up being kind of a game for me because I would test myself to remember the rooms and everything about them, like the dressing rooms and catering,
Right.
and stuff. And the guys would always say, "How does he remember this stuff?"
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was just a test to make sure I wasn't losing it.
Well, I do. I know that I go back to, this place. And I remember the catering here and the theater here and the dressing rooms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Rock and roll touring, brother.
It is. It's a gas, isn't it?
Well, so we talked about the Moody's. I'm really also a big fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, me too.
And I guess you can't be and we talked about horn groups. And we didn't mention them. Boy, as a matter of fact, I should share with one of my best friends is a guy named Bobby Brown, and he's their trumpet player. He's been touring with them for a long time. And I had as a matter of fact, I went back to my hometown of Litchfield, Illinois, and our horn section included Bobby Burns on trumpet from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Doc Kupka on Barry sax from Tower Power. And then we had Blue Lou Marini playing tenor sax from the Blues Brothers and many, many others.
Oh, yeah.
And Bones Malone playing trombone from Blues Brothers and many.
Incredible.
That was in this little farm town of Litchfield, Illinois. It was great.
That's incredible, man.
But Bobby, so tell us about working with Maurice White. Man, what a musical genius he is. or was?
Well, how it happened is I was working on a project for Japan, and Maurice was the producer. I was brought in to do some of the sequencing and drum programming and stuff like that. And we just hit it off and started writing. So he would come over to my house and we started writing stuff, and then we would also some of their old records we'd have to cook them. What
Right.
happens, just for people that don't know, old tape that was you record stuff on it, you can barely get a play out of it, so you cook them first and then you roll it and then you digitize them. So we had to do that a lot for their whole catalog. And a
Wow.
lot of times they'd have to redo the keyboards and just fix things up and do that. So we just had a really nice groove going, and I was working there so much that their studio was called Magnavision, and what I did is I ended up moving in to a room there and converting it into a studio. It was right next to his office.
Now,
And
what
so
years were these?
This is that's what I can never figure out, but I think it was around about 2000 to 2006, 7.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that again, but I'm quite sure that's about when it was. Because I was doing other things and I kind of remember. Maurice's the MS thing wasn't getting bad until the end. So I would do various projects with him, and he was a great guy. We did stuff with Jonathan Butler, Beyonce.
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez, so many different people, and then a lot of Japanese artists as well. And then one of the fun projects was the greatest hits record for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right.
Where we, at that time, remember how Michael Jackson did this mega mix?
Oh, yeah.
So they wanted me to do that. So it wasn't a sample thing. I didn't do it that way. What I did, did all the songs, and then we Paul Klingberg, who is a friend of mine from Chicago, is their engineer, and we've grown up together musically. Great mixer, and he mixes all our One Nation stuff. So we would he would get the horns, cut the tape, get certain sections of it, and then we'd use it and then convert it into the thing. I'm sure you've done stuff like that too.
Very cool. Yeah.
And so, like, get away the horns,
Yeah.
and stuff. Now, syncing was a little bit of an issue back then. So, but
Because you were working with. Oh, well, this is not 24-track tape. This is still digital, though, right?
I know it was computer and tape.
Gotcha.
We're doing both, and there was always stuff going on.
Sure.
And that's pretty much what happened with Maurice, and what a great guy, mentor.
Well, tell me about the musical mind of Maurice White, because this is a guy who created just an amazing legacy.
Well, he was interesting because he would pick certain people to work with that understood what he was looking for, and all the great people he wrote with, David Foster and all the other guys in his band that contributed as well, and Verdine and Ralph, the mainstays, still. But he basically got, like, if you sat down with him at the piano, you start something, and he would sing along or get some ideas, because he was a drummer, really.
Right.
And
now, didn't he was the drummer for Ramsey Lewis, right, back in the day in Chicago?
Yeah, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think he started out Earth, Wind, and Fire as the drummer, didn't he, too? Or, kind of would go lead singer.
Yes, I think so, yeah, exactly. And as a matter of fact, of course, Ramsey did that, or one of those early records with them, did a guest on one of those records.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it vice versa? I can't remember. It was a cool instrumental thing with this kind of chanting vocal.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Sun Goddess.
Yeah, Sun Goddess. Cool.
Oh
record,
yeah,
no
yeah, because
question.
that's Philip. That's them singing on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So he's a drummer, so maybe that's part of the reason why you guys synced too, huh?
I think so. Yeah, and he would kind of sing melodies and great with lyrics too, and of course a lot of his lyrics were metaphysical,
Yeah.
and always positivity,
Yes.
which is what I try to always have in anything I do. I don't like going negative at all. So
Amen. Yeah, I love that.
yeah, so it was I don't look back very much, but when I do, it sounds like what does that sound like? That most interesting man in the world.
Right, exactly.
I just am so thankful for the opportunities that I've had to work with these people that I grew up listening to and admiring so much. One I didn't get to work with is Frank Zappa. That's one that I would have liked to work with, but I wasn't at 12 years old. I wasn't quite.
Yeah, no
Wasn't
Zappa.
quite up to par.
Do you know Dave Logeman? He's a buddy of mine.
I know
Drummer.
the name. Yes.
Well, he's another Illinois boy, Southern Illinois boy, and
Wow.
he was our drummer with Frankie for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he went on to and he did a couple Zappa records and had a great with the gongs and the whole kind of stuff. I mean,
Yes.
But, I'm fascinated. Like we talked about Maurice White, and you could put in that camp, of course, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, some of these guys who have these brilliant musical minds. Bob Gaudio is also that same kind of thing. They don't have a real academic school thing, say, okay, play a C minor 9 right there and then go to an F flat 9 or whatever, F7 flat 9. And but this is what I want, and this is how I hear it. I don't know what it is, but this is how I hear it.
Yeah.
They say Stevie would sing these horn riffs to Steve Medeo and those guys in the studio and all.
I worked with Steve Medeo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was on two of my jazz records. Yeah,
Oh,
he's a great
guy.
Because we both lived in Palm Springs,
Okay.
in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still around, I think. I haven't seen him for a while, but he was.
Yeah,
he made all those great records,
Yeah, he's real cool. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's all. And we were talking about, but it's so cool. I think one of the great educations for any musician is when you get a chance to rub shoulders with genius. There's an osmosis process that happens. There's something that rubs off, and you learn about it, whether it be a musical thing or it's a non-musical thing that relates to your musicianship, your craft, your everything you do, because everything about you, and I know you as a player, as a composer, as a musical mind, you as and then all that translates into being a producer and an arranger and all those kind of hats that we all get.
We keyboard players always have to do that, right?
Now, back in the day, of course, when those early records with Frankie, Charlie Calillo lives down in Boca, too, who was the arranger on a lot of those early records.
Oh, okay.
But they had a brilliant producer, brilliant engineers, brilliant arrangers, brilliant songwriters, and then they were the singer-songwriters, too, but people nowadays have to wear more musical hats than they did back in those days, I think.
Yeah, because remember the producers back then, a lot of them, they really didn't play anything.
Right.
You remember,
exactly.
how some of the biggies but they would still get their thing across, I'm trying to think of some examples, but Ronnie and Howie Alpert, right? They weren't really musicians,
I can give you a one very close to home. Bob Crew was Frankie's producer for those early records, and basically the guy who was given credit for discovering the Four Seasons.
Yeah,
and they were kind of a studio backup group for him as he produced a lot of these hit records and stuff. But Bob was not a musician at all. He was a brilliant lyricist, though. But he had this musical instinct that was just amazing, and he's one of the great producers in history, actually.
And they kind of knew how to put things together.
That's a magical secret.
Yeah.
all the great
Yeah.
artists through history. Again, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, you mentioned Beethoven,
Yeah.
on and on and on. All these guys have that innate ability. Paul McCartney,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if he can actually score out anything or not, candidly.
Yeah.
But what a musical mind.
Now we can, because we got DAWs.
That's right. Well, I've got another track here of Alan Hewitt, One Nation. Let's play another song of yours. And
All
this
right,
is
Robbie.
called We're One Nation. And it goes like this. Awesome, awesome,
Thanks.
awesome.
Gotta
Wow.
thank Denise. Gotta thank Denise on there. She has
Yeah,
a nice, couple nice
Denise
little
is
things to
digging
say.
it. I see that.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, man, the band is just killing it. And it's such challenging and fun music to play. So that's got to be fun just as a
It
player.
is. That's kind of what I think why the guys like doing it. They get to on the first record, Sonny Emery was with Earth, Wind and Fire, and of course he was Steely Dan and everything. When we went through the first take on stuff, it was great. But I said, Sonny, do everything that everybody has told you not to do.
Cool.
and it made all the difference in the world. And it was like, night and day. And it's just, you're told to just, a lot of times as a drummer, like we talked about, just play the solid and don't do too much,
Yeah.
I wanted exactly the opposite. So.
But guys, different kind of music. One of my the great quotes that I remember is Duke Ellington saying, there are two kinds of music. There's good music, and then there's the other kind.
Yeah, there you go. That's
you know
good.
what? And whether you're playing a gazillion notes or if you're just boom, boom, ching, ba boom, boom. If it's just 2 and 4, it can both be great. Depends on it's all context.
Yep, exactly. And there's always different strokes for different folks. I don't try to judge any kind of music. Some of it's not my cup of tea, but it might be somebody else's cup of tea.
No question about that too. You're right. And that's why, and you can have a success in this business. All you have to have is a niche audience. Anyhow.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky enough to have some of the Moody Blues fans and stuff. Because it's, as you know, it's not easy to get things going in this day and age.
Well, tell us about your tour that you're coming up with One Nation.
Well, so we're releasing the record September 17th, and that's on BFD Sony.
Great.
So that would be great. And then and we're also going to release it in Europe and Japan too, but they'll be separate releases. So then the tour starts in Michigan, northern Michigan, where I'm from.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's going to be like a class reunion, basically.
Yeah.
We're almost sold out there. And that's in Petoskey, Michigan. And then we go down to Detroit, play a gig there on the 25th of September, and the 26th, we're in Traverse City. And then we go to play Lansing, Michigan, and then we go to Cleveland, and then Sellersville, Pennsylvania at the Sellersville Theater. You ever played that one?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Cool little theater in Sellersville. And then we're doing a 3-day event called Progstock, which is all progressive rock groups and some fusion bands. And Brand X is playing there. So that
very cool. Yeah.
We've played some other dates with them on this cruise called Cruise to the Edge we talked about before. Yeah. So that's it's going to be a short little run, but it'll be nice.
About how long are you going to be out then?
About 3 weeks.
Okay.
So and then we'll do starting in April. We're going to do another run and Cruise to the Edge. So in between our other tours that we have to do,
your day jobs, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, when do the Moody's go out? When do you go back out with the Moody's?
I'm not sure. I know John Lodge is going to go out in March, the full month of March, and then he's got a cruise called Flower Power cruise with the Zombies and Rascals, I think, are on there, and some of the bands from that era, Canned Heat.
Wow! Now I hadn't heard that name for a while.
Yeah, and Felix
Cavalieri.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on this show a couple times too. He's a good friend, and again, another hero of mine. For organ players, I was a big Keith Emerson fan, but if you predate Keith Emerson and Jimmy Smith, I don't think you can play Hammond organ without being influenced by Jimmy Smith, who was my number one. But in rock, Mark Stein, who we talked about earlier, Vanilla Fudge, and Felix Cavalieri were my two big heroes, and still are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, does Felix still in his show play? Does he still do the keys a lot? Or
Oh
is he
yeah,
more-
he
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Nice.
He lives in
Well, that-
Nashville, and
Yeah.
and he loves to tour.
Yeah.
You know, and man, he sings great. He's one of the most soulful human beings on the planet, and talk about a songwriter too. I mean, he's got that magic touch.
And where is he from? Philadelphia?
No, he's from from New York, upstate. I think
From New York.
Long
So he's
Island.
the East Coast guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole band, the Rascals. You know, it was Felix Cavalier, Dino Danelli on drums.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, bear with me. Eddie Brigatti was the singer and tambourine player and some percussion.
Okay.
And then they had oh gosh, what's his name? The guitar player. But the three of them all got their start from another Floridian and dear friend of mine, Joey D. They were all background. They were in the background, They were in the band Joey D and the Starlighters, who had a big hit, the Peppermint Twist,
Nice.
before your time.
Sure. No, but I do remember that song. And I think, he's still down here. He's
Joey
in
D,
Florida,
yeah, he
isn't
lives. Yeah, I'm going to see him in Tampa pretty soon. He lives down in Tampa.
Very good.
And and he's been on this show a bunch of times too. Actually, he went back to Litchfield with me. Joey D did.
Nice.
Now check this out as far as music history thing, and School of Rock, if you want to call it that. Joey D and the Starlighters had a monster hit called the Peppermint Twist. The Beatles opened up for them when on one of Felix's first gigs. The Beatles were the opening band, and he had three of the Rascals as his band. Who left and then started their own thing called the Rascals.
Yeah.
He also had a guitar player named Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, man.
And he had another guitar player at a different time called Joe Pesci. Now, how about that diverse?
That's funny.
Guitar players Jimi Hendrix and Joe Pesci and the Rascals, and then the Ronettes were also his background singers at one time. And he had one of the Neville brothers also played for him.
That's wild.
So, yeah, Joey's had, and he still sounds great, and he still is energetic and gung-ho on everything. Now, you had a recording career with and co-wrote one of the biggest rock songs of all time, Cherry Pie by Warrant.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Now, that's a long way from Earth, Wind, and Fire, and a long way from the Moody Blues, but it was
all kind of during the same period too. Because I was writing with everybody. I was writing with I wrote a thing for Donny Osmond and Eddie Money, and I wrote with some of the guys from Heart and the Tubes and Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's. I was writing. All of a sudden kind of caught fire out there because I had some success, and the thing with Warrant, what happened is they were managed by the same management company. It was Tom Hewlett, Concerts West, and Eddie Winrick. So I got a call and said, hey, Tommy from Columbia says he doesn't think we have a hit on this record. So he goes, I'm sending Janie down, who was the lead singer of Warrant, to you guys need to write a hit.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay.
No, not a tall order. Just write a hit.
Yeah, just write one. So he came down, and of course he forgot his guitar. So I had to borrow it from one of my. It was apartment building, so I borrowed it from one of my neighbors, and we proceeded to write the song. He had some ideas, he had starts for lyrics, but not all of them. He had the cherry pie part and some of the other stuff, and then I kind of came up with do 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 do, all those lines and things like that.
It's all about a hook, baby.
Yeah, and we got it done really quickly, probably in a couple hours, recorded and stuff, and then took it up to the studio in the Valley, and Bo Hill was the producer, and the guys were in the band were all waiting for us to bring it up, and they finished it out that night. I was kind of tired, so
you wrote it that day and recorded it that night.
Recorded it that night, and the next morning they sent it to Donnie Einer, That's who it was, Donnie Einer, and he said, "That's it." He goes,
Wow.
"That's going to be the concept of the record."
Wow.
So that was because I got to tell you, I don't think Janie and I really knew. It wasn't like, "Oh yeah, that's it."
Yeah.
I've gotten that with other songs that weren't, but that one is one of those freakish things. It just hit a nerve with people. I think the video helped too.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a
Yeah.
popular video. Well, this
Yeah.
business is a crazy business, mates.
It is.
As I remember working with Del Shannon. He sat on the stool and said that was the thing. I'll never forget those words. Mates, this is a crazy business that we're in. And he had a very sad end as it all turned out, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But it is a crazy business, and you never know what's going to happen,
You keep your doors open and don't ever burn your bridges.
Amen to that. No question.
Yeah.
1978, I had two choices to make. As far as I had an opportunity to join Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons,
Yeah.
or I could go with a guy named Feelings, Morris Albert. And he had the biggest song in the world at that time. It was Feelings.
Wow.
You remember that
Yeah.
song, Feelings? And I thought, okay, do I go with Frankie Valli, who's an established artist but has kind of had his day maybe, or do I go with this brand new artist who's got the biggest song in the world and on the rise? And of course, I chose Frankie, and that was Morris's only hit record. So it was a
I
good
think
choice.
you made the right decision there.
You think,
Yeah. That's amazing. Because that's when you think about it now, maybe it's easy, but when you have those two decisions in front of you, your thinking was correct. Well, do I go this way or do I go this way? And a lot of people would have gone with the Feelings, I think.
Right, no question.
Yeah.
And that was a
So
big record, but but you've had what a brilliant career you've had. I shouldn't say you have, because man,
I guess I'm still going.
I can sense
yet,
it, man. You are just getting started, brother.
I don't know about that.
Because you love what you do, don't you?
I do. I mean, I'll always do it, but it might just be for myself.
Well, I think you keep doing that, and you have enough people who enjoy what you do and who relate to what you do, and just like Denise was talking about candy for her ears, so
that was nice. I like that.
And there's always, if you do something really good, there are people who are going to like it,
Yeah.
And
Well,
you've figured it out along the way. I mean, your music is brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to talk to other musicians and get that that feedback, because most of the time you're talking to different business people and that kind of thing. So it's nice to hear it from musicians and because you're a great keyboard player. And I really love what you do, how you play.
Thanks.
And I'd really, actually, that's kind of how, I like that style that you play. It's real. That's really cool.
Sort of
that's
a soulful gospel approach kind of thing.
It's cool. And Maurice was going in that direction toward our, the last part of our, partnership thing. And, and because he liked, what's that? The group in L.A. that's such a great gospel group.
I saw that you and I have a mutual friend, Tata Vega, who's
yes,
great purveyor of that style.
Yeah.
Tata went back to Litchfield with me too, by the way.
I know. Sure, isn't she Chaka Khan's niece?
No.
Or
Tata is
relation?
no.
Tata's not.
She got her.
That was another girl in Chicago.
What's that?
That was another girl that was a great singer in Chicago. Yeah,
Tata is a soulful. She was Andre Crouch's lead featured vocalist for decades.
Well, this is when I got out of high school. I went out to L.A. to play, and I was a drummer then, and my buddy was in this band called Kid Brother, and that's the band Tata was in.
Oh,
With
wow.
Yeah, and it was like a Toto thing, but really good stuff, and they got signed to MCA, and so
Wow.
that's how that connection happened, because I was they were gonna add another drummer, and it didn't last very long though, but it was a great band, and that was that was the connection there.
But
Yeah, it's
she
cool.
is soulful, and she's great, and
Yeah.
no question about that. Seems like there was something else I wanted to mention. So this drummer thing, there have been a lot of great keyboard players who started out as drummers, I've found, interestingly enough.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel was a drummer first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he's a good keyboard player. I don't think people realize that. I was supposed to do his tour. It was before COVID, so maybe
Right.
2019, 18, whatever it was. And it got canceled. It was with Sting, so that would have been a great thing to do.
Oh,
But
man.
he had to learn all the stuff, and there was some really nice stuff in there.
Cool.
And,
I guess he found a pretty good drummer, though, huh?
Yeah,
In Genesis, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
he decided to say, yeah,
Exactly.
Phil Collins. And
Yeah.
and then Phil Collins steps out from, one of my best friends in the world. His name is Richie Gahate Garcia. Just did the last couple Phil Collins tours, and it was really special. And Phil and Richie would come down because Phil really can't play anymore. His son,
His son's doing it. Yep.
But Richie, who is just this Richie Gahate Garcia, and people who watch this so regularly know Richie because he's like a brother to me. He's the guy who
And
got
what
me
did he play?
He's a percussionist,
Oh, okay.
and he put together a unique kind of my brain's a percussion thing that Phil could come down and play a cajon that he could put on his lap, and he played, and they would do this duet together, and the fans just loved to see Phil out there doing that.
Yeah. His son's pretty good.
That's what I hear. Richie was saying he's a monster.
Yeah, that's great.
And the horn players too are all good buddies of mine, Harry Kim and all those.
Now, who's that keyboard player?
I forget who's it's he used to live here in L.A. and then he moved to Nashville. I can't think of who it is now, but he was one of the L.A. guys for years.
know
And
him?
I just can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's been doing Phil Collins' gig for years and years. That band has been with Phil pretty much for years and years.
Yeah. It's not Wally Minko, is it?
No, not Wally Minko. It's
okay.
I can't think of his name.
Well, we'll have to dig that up when.
I'm sure. Yeah, put me on the spot, man.
Yeah.
Trying to remember
Ask me easy
things.
questions.
Well, listen, my brother, I've kept you much longer than I told you, so I can't. Man, I'm really honored that you would come on this show. And by the way,
I'm honored to be on. I appreciate it.
kudos to Melissa Kucherik.
That's my girl. She's my publicist, and she
is
great. Great person too.
Yeah, and I've been hearing more and more about her, and because she connected me with you, and because we didn't really know each other. I think we might have met at a NAMM show one time, but
I've definitely heard about you. I know, I knew who you were.
and I knew your name, no doubt about it too.
Oh, you did not.
I truly did, honest to God, no question.
Maybe from being in a wine ad or something.
No. Hey. You've made your mark, no question about that, my friend. And you are a brilliant musical mind, a brilliant talent, everything that you do, but you're the whole package. And I've really enjoyed this because I think I just love your joy of music,
Yeah, well, yours too. Let's stay in touch, huh?
Absolutely. And when we get down there, I'll give you a holler, and maybe we can go have lunch or something. Or you come out and see a Frankie show.
Yeah, that sounds good. Lunch should be fun too.
Somebody, by the way, another one of our Ham Fan brothers who's watching, he just sent, he had a thing. Gary Swan, who's a dear friend of mine.
Oh, yeah. I know him. I met Gary, I think.
Yep, Gary's.
Ask Gary if we met.
And here, well, it's hard. Gary, have you met Alan Hewitt? Gary said, "When are you coming to L.A.?" Meaning you on your tour. But are you coming to L.A. with your tour?
Not this time, but we hope to get out there. Gary, you know how it is that once you get out there, the spaces are much further apart and a little bit expensive when you're doing it the way we're doing it with this band.
That's right. Frankie, for years, wanted to base the band back in the East Coast, because if you're in the East Coast, there are a lot of groups based in Nashville, because you can get on the bus and you go bang, bang, bang. But out here, you got to fly everywhere.
Yeah, the distances are really, unless you play, you can play Vegas and Phoenix and then go to LA and then up to, somewhere in the middle and then San Francisco. And then you got to go up to Seattle and Portland. So it's much more of a thing. I know Gary though. I know him.
Oh, Gary's a great keyboard player, singer, songwriter, that whole thing, and Ham Fan brother.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see Scott. I think Scott is coming to our show in Milwaukee. Scott May, who's our Ham Fan brother, and I love this Ham Fan because there's really this connection with all of the people who play Hammond organ.
Yeah, Scott and Greg were really great about that, and did their best to help us get our tools.
No question.
The tools of the trade.
And you got to have you see the logo up here. Right there it is, I guess.
Yep, it's right in the middle.
And the Hammond, because there is the prog rock groups, they all had Hammond organs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It started with Keith Emerson, of course.
Well, when we were on the cruise, when the Moody Blues, we had 4 cruises, and we had all these guys, and Rod Argent, of course, was on, and he's got the double decker. I'm not sure which one that is. It was the digital
the XK5, or was it the SK?
What was the other one you said?
The SK. They make a dual manual SK now.
I think it was the SK5.
Okay.
And it sounded really good because he was running it through the old Leslies, and he must have had them hyped up.
Was that record when they did? What was the big hit that he had?
The Argent song.
The Rod Argent that he played with the Zombies. What was that song?
Season of the Witch, or that one?
No, not Season of the Zombies had that, and there was an iconic organ solo.
On a blank.
But so my question to you is, did he say? I'm curious if that was a Hammond organ. I don't think it was. It seemed like it might have been a Vox Continental.
It was the one you said it was, because I remember it had SK on it. So it was the SK5. Is that what you said?
Oh, well, there's the XK, and then there's the SK. So there's the XK5, which is actually, tell her no, Denise says, but is right here. But they make different incarnations of it, so you can do it a dual keyboard or a single keyboard.
Yeah. Maybe it was that one. Yeah, maybe it was that one. Yeah, yeah. Now that's Procol Harum.
Yes, no question. But that zombie song, I think the original record might have been and I'm really digressing, but it's intriguing to me personally. It might have been a Vox Continental organ. Did you ever play any of those kind of organs?
No, because I was a drummer at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I got in. I think when I started playing, there was the Prophets and Arp Odysseys and stuff like that. The Mini Moog I didn't do too much with, because everybody I knew that had them, they'd go out of tune so much. Right. It would bother me. So I did with those, and I like the Oberheims too. I
still have. Well, I have an Oberheim. You can see my rig behind me here. I've got an Oberheim. That's actually, it's the half of a Oberheim Modular 8 voice.
Oh wow, yeah, neat.
Which is a super fat sound. And then there's a Mini Moog up on top, and then that's the only. And over here I have a Prophet 10, which you can't see.
Oh, I love those.
And I have an Arp Quadra there, so I still have but I don't have a Mellotron like you have.
Yeah, well, I don't either. I have a Mematron.
Scott May
Which
plays
is a
Mellotron, you know.
Mellotron in a smaller box. Yeah, those Mellotrons they're a pain in the butt.
Oh, man,
You know,
I can't imagine touring with them.
You know where the Moody Blues Mellotron is? It's at the Hard Rock Museum.
Is that right?
not-
Which one? Oh, you mean
Hall
the
of
Rock
Fame.
and Roll Hall of
The
Fame?
Hall of Fame, the Rock Hall.
Yeah, that
Museum.
makes sense.
Yeah.
As it well deserves to be, because that was iconic.
It was in mint condition, too. It was really nice.
Wow, very
Yeah.
cool. That's
It's
worth
cool.
some bucks, no question. Well,
I would
listen,
think so.
young man, thank you for being on Jam and Java tonight. It's been a real treat to get to know you, and I know that the audience here has really enjoyed you.
You too, Robbie. I appreciate it, and thank you all for watching and bearing with us, going keyboard on you.
I know, keyboard nerds. All right,
Thanks
brother.
a lot, folks.
Take care.
See you soon. If you're
Bye-bye.
in the area where we're playing, check us out, and also you can get all the information on Alan Hewitt and OneNation.com.
You know what? I failed to ask you that. And if I was
That's all
really
right. I
together,
got it.
I would have that here.
remember.
So say that again. Alan Hewitt.
And OneNation.com, spelled out. So AlanHewitt and OneNation.com. And that's all
that's
there is.
easy.
Everything's up there.
And they can also go to alanhewitt.com probably,
Yeah,
too.
they can, and then they can get from there to over to the other site too. Yeah.
So go out there and listen to this kicking band, because you guys
We'd love to
kick,
have
man.
you there. That would be great.
I'm hoping I can get a chance to come out and see you someplace. So I'm going to watch out for where you guys are.
Good deal. Okay, Robbie.
All the best,
Guys,
brother.
take care.
Thank you
I'm
so
going
much.
To bed.
Oh, yeah, it's
about-
late out there. Good night.
It's 12 o'clock.
Good night. Take care, brother. Thanks
See ya.
again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Man, what a great guy he is, man. And what a great spirit he is. What a great musician he is. And what a great joy he has. He has that joy of music that I just have such a I just love it, because you can't be a musician if you don't love it. Of course, I guess there are those tortured souls, Franz Schubert, Schumann, some of those guys who had this tortured soul, but he's got the joy. He's got the joy of music, no doubt about it. And what a great guy, and on and on. It's been really a lot of fun. So where next week we're going to the Midwest with Frankie, and then I'm going to go down to Litchfield for a couple days in my hometown, and so we'll do next Monday from there. And that's always going to be fun. It's going to be fun to get back with Frankie. This is our first tour here. Let's see, I've got some pictures here. There's some Frankie pics here. We are, let me get over to here. There's Frankie. I think that's Radio City there. And there's Frankie and I discussing some kind of musical event. Who knows? There's Frankie and I think that's also Radio City. That's us at rehearsing. We've been rehearsing for a couple months. The new band is really good. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys. We have a couple personnel changes, changed the configuration of the band a little bit. There's the new band. We're bringing back a guy who was with us back in the 80s, Robin Swenson, brilliant keyboard player. That's him on the far left. That's the Italian salute. There's Frankie and Bob Gaudio and I. And so we were rehearsing the other day, and down the hall, this guy was rehearsing, Rob Zombie, rock star Rob Zombie. And that's a pretty diverse pair if you put Frankie Valli and Rob Zombie. But Rob Zombie came down and paid his respects to Frankie. And that's, again, the new band there. There's Frankie explaining how things go. I mean, this guy is the most passionate musical person that I've ever known, the most tenacious human being I've ever known. Just amazing. So we're getting ready to rock and roll. And then also a shout out to my granddaughter, Cammie, who is getting married this Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm going to be there. And we just love her fiance. His name is Austin Day. And Cammie Young's my granddaughter. And that's going to be a very, very, very special event. So God's big blessings on that marriage and Cammie and Austin, and that's going to be exciting. So things are happening, that's for sure. We're going to take it out, I guess, with one more song. Let's see, what do we got here in the coffers here? It's always fun. Jam and Java is always a new musical adventure every Monday. You never know who it's going to be. Alan, what a great guest, and what a great musician he is, and what a great guy too. Wow, he's a winner all the way around, no question about it. So I will see you all next Monday, 7:00 California time. Don't forget, tell your friends and check in with us. And all the best to all of you. Come back and see us again, Jam and Java. And go out and see Alan Hewitt, One Nation and One Nation. Alan Hewitt, and One Nation. I should have made a little logo thing here. And so I'll see you guys all. Why don't we take it out with a Sarah Nimitz, Robbie Robinson original song that we did for Easter called He Is Risen Indeed, because that's got the joy of the Lord in it. That's for sure. The joy of music goes like this. I'll see you all next week. All the best. God's blessings to you all.
For